Hello to all my combo lords out there, to whoever introduced as combo lads and lasses. Any form of combo as an adjective is acceptable for our folks here, but I do use combo lords as our gender neutral term for all of our lords around here, although in history it may have been a gendered term. Today we have a interesting stream because I'm wearing two lab coats, for example, and this is representative of our transition between grade -1 and grade -2. Grade -1 is over now, and this lab coat is now the backup lab coat, and this lab coat will now have its time to gather its own stains and such. But right now I'm wearing both, partially because it's really cold and windy out here. I don't know if you can hear all that wind, but we're going to have a lot of winds today. And all those creaking noises in the background are the trees and fences and stuff. So some stuff might fall over. We already got some fallen clocks, but that's okay. We're out here in the almost finished setup for the grade -2 classroom. I'm doing this stream at a new desk. Can you believe it? It's been a while since I had this computer that I stream on anything but a chair. Normally I have this whole mechanism to get the chairs at the right angles, but now we got a desk. One desk per grade probably should be good, and we can place our bets on how long the desk will last. To get a better view of what we got going on here, let's take a little peek back. Now, I'm not facing the camera the other direction as much because that part's not as cleaned up yet. I still gotta deal with like 10 chairs and a bunch of stuff. But this part is pretty close and pretty good. And one of the things you might see there is the largest clock yet. However, as I thought about what that meant, what does largeness of a clock mean? Is it just the face of the clock? Because if it's just the face, it's not the largest clock yet. But in terms of height, if we count this as the clock, because it is, this is by far the biggest clock we have yet. And it's a pretty cool one that works with these weights. It has a pendulum as well, and chimes, and that will be investigated in early grade -2. We'll probably even do a video about how it works, because I find it pretty neat that you can have a clock that doesn't require batteries but goes. I mean, many things could do that in different ways, like a sundial, but this thing uses weights that you crank upward, and as they slowly go downward from gravity and the weight, they turn gears. So that's pretty cool. Now, I got that for really cheap. I was waiting to get a grandfather clock for cheap to show up somewhere online in my area so I could go and pick up a used one. And all grade, I've been looking at random times, and finally there was a cheap grandfather clock. Now, we also have something else fun today, because not only am I setting up the classroom with a lot of other fun things, like that bird feeder that the squirrels got to. We'll discuss that in a moment. But there's also something that YouTube sent me. Now, normally I'm definitely not the type of guy who would do a product review very often or an unboxing type of video very often, because I'm not a very consumerist guy. I don't really like buying new things. Although you may see me with a ridiculous amount of some certain type of thing to help with my teaching, like an absurd amount of dice or clocks or stuff. And the dice I do need to get new usually, although the clocks I usually get used. I don't like buying new stuff very much, and I don't really want to make videos encouraging, oh, this is a cool plastic thing, everyone should go get it. That's not great for the planet or for your brains or anything. However, at first when I thought about what YouTube sent me here, which is what they call the silver play button. Yeah, it's really windy here, so it's going to get knocked in the mud almost instantaneously if I'm not careful. But when YouTube sent me this, at first I was like kind of embarrassed to put it in a stream because I don't want to attach my identity or my self-worth to some item. You know, you should have a greater self-worth and greater senses of pride in your accomplishments than what the item tells you, because really why I feel proud for where we're at in Combo Class is the community we have growing, how many different people have seen it, how many people say they've learned stuff, things like that. So that makes me really appreciative and happy. Normally a product wouldn't mean anything like that, or it's not really a product you can buy, but an item still. But with that said, I've been watching YouTube since I was a little kid and it first came out. And I've loved YouTube my whole life. And I've seen people have these in the background. And it was always in my head that since I loved YouTube so much throughout my life, that if I ever had some form of success in the world, often one form of success builds another. Like the fact that I have a lot of viewers here will help me publish books and things like that. But I always figured if I make it large in some way in the world ever, that part of it will be related to a YouTube channel or channels, because I like making videos and I love watching things on YouTube. And it always, despite the flaws of the platform, they do have some flaws, it's always represented to me the idea that someone who's not in Hollywood, without needing any sort of budget or a tiny budget, could put together something that anyone could see. And when YouTube first came out, since I'm 29 now, YouTube must have first come out when I was like 11 or something, or 12, or somewhere from like 10 to 13 or something. So I guess little kid is a little inaccurate for how long I was watching it, because it came out maybe when I was 10 or so. I don't know the exact time. But when it came out, I remember a friend showing me and a video of just some random people getting hurt in some way, like falling off the edge of some balcony or something. And it wasn't the video that mattered to me, although it is funny to see little fail videos or whatever. The video wasn't what was important. That still sticks in my brain because before that point, I had made certain little home movies, but I'd had the idea that you can't really have your home movie available for everyone in the world to see unless you own a website yourself. I hadn't done much research about where you could, oh god damn it, where you could host a certain thing. Good thing this thing's made of metal, am I right? So we're gonna keep it flat for now. We'll prop it up with the abacus, maybe that should work. And so out of all the things that I would ever be proud of getting as an item, this is one of them. This to me not only represents that this weird thing I've seen in the background of a bunch of YouTubers, of a bunch of people I've looked up to over the years who have had one of these, and I've seen it mentioned offhand or in a background or whatever. I always thought if I ever make it big, which I honestly thought, because I've had huge ideas and I still haven't even put most of my big ideas out to the world, I thought eventually at some point one of my ideas would get a big audience, but I didn't realize that it would be so quick into one of the particular schemes of mine or experiments, because Combo Class Grade -1 was really an experiment. It went so well that Grade -2 will be a pretty similar experiment. But it still was just one of many projects I've tried over the years. I've even had many YouTube channels. And this was the first one that very quickly, faster than I thought, somehow has landed me this thing that was in the background of all those things I've been seeing for years. So, out of all the things made of plastic and metal that you could get in a box, this weirdly means a lot to me, even though I feel sort of guilty about that because I don't want to attach my identity to some item. But the other part of why it feels important to me is that I kind of chose to not ever get a 4-year diploma at a traditional college. I studied for about 2 years or a little more than 2 years, and Then did the rest of my studying on my own, from loving to read and loving to do my own investigations. And a lot of what taught me the stuff was reading, and both online articles and books. And so I never finished a formal 4-year college degree. And a lot of people in my life thought that would be a sensible state for me, as somebody who likes math and writing and stuff, would be to get something like that to make sure I get a good job. But I've always been the type to take a more risky path. And I thought maybe instead of ever going to the school, I can make a school. And right now, school just means channel, but I will be publishing more cool online resources at various points for combo class, and maybe we'll have some sort of physical school-like resource, you never know. But instead of getting a diploma there from a normal school, I tried to make my own school, and this to me almost feels like the diploma for knowing that my school taught a lot of people. Almost the reverse of a normal school. I even made my own final exam. So, and the final exam video and a whole documentary that I made about the process of grade -1 came out with the documentary pretty recently on the main combo class channel. Make sure you've all at some point, either already or soon, or just in the next week or week and a half before I put out more stuff on that channel, take some time to watch through that whole documentary I made, because it means a lot to me. And whatever personal stories I tell in a stream aren't going to be as deep as that, because I have actual footage in that shows crazy periods of my life. So make sure to check that documentary. It also has some cool adventures. We take a little field trip. We go camping in the classroom, stuff like that. So on the main combo class channel, if you ever see, the length of them isn't just me ranting for a really long time. And so if there's a 30-minute video on the main combo class channel, I probably spent a really long time on it. So here's this thing we're going to open in a moment. And I figured, apart from it randomly meaning some things to me for those reasons I said, it's kind of interesting to any of my viewers out there maybe to see the process of something like this. Basically, when you get 100,000 subscribers, which now we've flown past. This channel's at 114 now. Awesome, super cool. But when you get past 100,000, there's something that you can click that's like, do you want us to review your channel? And if we're okay with it, send you the play button. I clicked that. They were pretty quick on reviewing my channel. I've heard some people it takes a while on. For me, maybe because they saw a few educational videos and saw that that's like the gist of most of my content, they pretty quickly were like, okay, we're okay sending this guy one. And so it was pretty quick. We hit 100,000. We passed that on stream a few weeks ago, and I guess maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago. And now here this is. So pretty wild. Thought it was going to take longer. I'm counting this as having happened in grade -1, because although grade -1's finale has come out, I haven't put out the full official intro to grade -2 yet. We haven't done any full math episodes of grade -2 yet. We're right now in the transitional period, in the mix between you stayed late after class after grade -1, or you came early for class to grade -2. The door's open, although the official bell hasn't rung yet. Let's see, is this thing going to make a bell? Yeah, listen, that thing makes bells. The clock. the big old grandfather one. So, with all that said, let me go through a comment or two. I was just ranting. You know how I am on the streams. I spend a while before I remember to look at the comments. But hello to everyone. Thank you all for joining me here. To whoever said, looking good here. The set is looking nice. I still need to tidy up my hair a bit. I'm going to have a friend fix it up a bit at some point, because this was all just me cutting it on camera in the finale. And then a few extra snips in the mirror later, looking at myself in the mirror, because I wanted a few extra snips to tidy it up, but it's still, you can only do so much with yourself in the mirror. I need someone else to go at it at some point. Now, we're not really going to evaluate it too much, but I did look up the stats. It's mostly made of the material called nickel, which is not silver. Funny enough, I might make a short out of this or something. I thought this was pretty funny. I realized that the YouTube silver play button is mostly made of the metal, not silver, the metal nickel. The metal that you might think you'd know from nickels, but nope, modern nickels, like the coins in America called nickels, are no longer mostly nickel. They're now mostly copper. Copper, you know that from pennies, huh? Well, pennies, I think, are now mostly not copper. How many layers does this go? So, I'm going to make a short or something about that. I thought that's funny that they don't... The silver's nickel, the nickel's copper, the copper's zinc. What's next? Now, someone said drill a hole, add clock hands, and that is a great idea. That's something that I think that may have crossed my mind, but I'm not sure. That is definitely one I'll make sure to keep in mind as a possibility. The from GTZ Velis to drill a hole in the center of it, add some clock hands, because I probably won't destroy it right away. Maybe here's what we'll do. I figured if I put it, depending on its size, it might fit in the grandfather clock, which has like a big openable compartment. That will protect it a bit out here. If it doesn't, we might keep it in my room, because it's going to get destroyed out here in the combo classroom. However, this was once considered just my bonus channel. Remember, this channel is barely over 7 months old. Some of the shorts were filmed a little earlier than that, but still, all the content on this channel was filmed in less than a year ago, which is absolutely crazy. So, the main combo class channel actually is what I want to be getting all these subscribers. It's a little ironic, depending on what type of irony you look at or how you define that this was the channel that has gotten so many so quick. This literally was called at the beginning Combo Class Bonus. Actually, no, first it was even called Combo Class Shorts. Then it was called Combo Class when I first made it. Like, I created this channel last August, right at the end of August, and I put out the first shorts on it, the first content on this at the beginning of last September. It was called Combo Class Shorts. Then I was like, I want to start live streaming and putting out bonus lessons on here. It became called Combo Class Bonus. Then it blew past the other one in subscribers. So I was like, okay, we'll call it Demotro from Combo Class. So, someone says the clocks are wrong. They're not all pointing at almost 2. However, let's clarify one thing. Good thought, but what is -2 on a clock? It's not 2. At first, when I was thinking about it, I thought, should they be at 2? Then I remembered, -2 on one of these clocks is 10. That's 2 hours before the 0-ish one. And so it's true that in Mod 12, the number -2 is congruent to 8. To 10. I was thinking of Mod 10. In Mod 12, the number -2 is congruent to 10. And that's how clocks work. So, if anything, they should be all set to 10. Because that is 2 before. So keep that in mind. Negative stuff in mods. We will certainly be doing more modular arithmetic. It works pretty well that my promise of getting more and more clocks lined up with me falling in love with modular arithmetic, because now we got a lot of clocks to make analogies with. And we do use modular cycles in other parts of our life. We're going to have an easier time making analogies for Mod 7 due to weekday structures, to Mods 12, 24, and 60 due to clocks, Now, we're going to have a lot of cool episodes about modular stuff. One of the ones that we haven't even started yet is, I've said what happens when you multiply numbers on a clock, or when you add numbers on a clock. Like if I'm treating 12 as 0, I could say that like 7 plus 7 isn't 14. There's no 14 on the clock. Going 7, then going 7 more gets me to the 2. 7 plus 7 is 2 on the clock, or in mod 12. And so we've done multiplication. If I went 7 hours 7 times, that would be 49 breaks down in mod 12 to 1, so that would end up on the 1. And what we haven't done is modular division. Now, you can't always do modular division. Sometimes it's banned, kind of like divide by 0 is banned. And by banned, yeah, of course I'm saying that jokingly, like my most popular short goes a little more into divide by 0. But it's to a degree banned until you give a clarification that you're working in a different system that allows it. And so there are sometimes certain mods and certain divisions, the combo of certain what you're dividing by and what mod, that are banned. Can't do them. There are other ones that work perfectly good. So modular division will do, and it's super interesting. We're also going to do, there's a bajillion patterns, and remember, bajillion is a variable number. It differs based on circumstance. So like if I said there was a bajillion grains of sand, that would mean like millions. But when I say bajillion in this case, I mean like 5 or something. But there's a bajillion notable what's called congruences that are sort of like properties that hold true in modular arithmetic related to which numbers end up on a 1. I've done certain things about which numbers end in a 0 in certain bases on the main combo class channel and in streams, but we haven't done as much of which ones end in 1. And there's actually a ton of patterns there. It's not just about I'm the one after the 0. And there's other cool modular stuff we'll do as well. Some other all-stars of grade -2 are probably going to be the polygonal numbers, such as square, triangular, pentagonal numbers, and others. Other figurate numbers, even like tetrahedral numbers and such. Those are related to Pascal's triangle, which will also show up a few times in grade -2. Which I haven't explained on purpose because I want to explain it in the episode I'm making about it. There's a lot of ways to view it. And another all-star will be our three-even numbers. Those are going to continue being important, as well as some of the other things we saw pop up all over. Don't be surprised when you see pi, e, the golden ratio, and I guess if I'm throwing those in, I should say the square roots of non-square integers. Those show up a bunch of places too. That type of irrational number. Don't be surprised if you see those, as well as certain families like factorials. Definitely will still be coming back and back. And dice will continue to be a thing. We got some good dice episodes. Hyper 11s will still be coming. There's a sequel Hyper 11s episode. There's an open mystery about Hyper 11s that we're going to go into, by which I mean numbers composed of just the digit 1 in some base, sometimes known as a generalized rep unit. Now, let's see. Someone's wondering if bullets stick at magnets if they were shot. I would imagine it depends how strong the magnet is, because the bullet might bounce off too quickly, but for really strong magnet, maybe we'll test that someday. We're not going to go into having a gun in the combo classroom anytime soon, though. Don't worry. Fire is enough. Now, someone's wondering if they cut a mirror in half, do they have themselves in each half, or half of themselves in each half? Well, it would depend on what angle you're holding the mirrors from. If you just split it and held it at the exact same point, you would just have half of yourself. But the further apart they got, and the further angle, they could be each showing up to all of you at the right angle. Now, someone said Numer Sen Prime discovered today. I'm thinking, or you might be April Foolsing me or something. Because I did say you're allowed to do April Fool's Week. I am skeptical of that. And I don't see any news about it. So, I'm glad that I have my April Fool's blinders up, because it does seem like that is an April Fool's Week prank. Which I did say that, in my opinion, maybe we should switch to having April Fool's Week. And maybe this is all part of that. Maybe this is all CGI. No, you know I do my clocks for real. And I said that we should do April Fool's Week, and all other months can get the first of the month be Fool's Day as well. We do April Fool's Week, so it's still the foolsiest month. And I also imagined a saga where I got into April Fool's Day, and I almost made a joke about April Fool's Week. But then I anticipated where the gag would go. If I made a joke about April Fool's Week, next year I'd have to make a joke about April Fool's Month, and then the year after I have to make a joke about April Fool's Year. I'm going to have a whole year of pranks, and that would be going too far. In fact, one of the fiction novels I'm writing about, I've been writing for a long time, many fiction books that I hope to publish someday. I'm going to spend more time on those now that I kind of quit my day job to be in combo class land. I am going to hopefully get some of those to you before long, as well as math books like the one about threethans. But in one of the fiction books, it's quite about pranks, so we're going to get into that sometime. My book about pranks. Ask me about that in a future stream. Now, someone said to say an April Fool's joke, but I'm not going to say an April Fool's Week joke, because really the reason I was joking about those is because April Fool's Day sucks. It's like the lamest holiday. Any adult would be done pranking any April Fool's Week. Or it's the same one I did in my episode, but April Fool's, it's a great holiday. So I threw one in for the request, but no, this is all not an April Fool's Week prank. Maybe we will do April Fool's Week next year. This year we're rolling with the day. And hyperbolic April Fools. Interesting thought. Now, I was wondering at first, how is April Fool's punctuated? Is it just fools with nothing after? Does it have an apostrophe after? And if so, is the apostrophe after the S or before the S? There are three ways it could have been. You could have had, it's about, there are April Fools, there are fools. It could have been possessive of the fools own it, or it could be, there is one fool who owns it. But it is multiple fools who own it, apparently. Apparently it's fools with an apostrophe after. And yes, I am done with my April Foolsing. To clarify my earlier one, I love April Fool's Day, and I do like pranks if they're a good-hearted prank. Pranks have gotten kind of mean-spirited at times in society, not in my life, but in like certain YouTube trends and stuff. I feel like prank videos have gone down a bad rabbit hole historically, and with that said, playing a lighthearted prank that just bewilders or confuses someone, I think is good if you clarify it's a prank without too much time passing. I don't think you should leave a prank going for an extended period or leave it ambiguous at the end. I think you should have a point where you cap it off. You're like, all right, it was a prank, we're good and gone. And then you also need to have a good, a relationship that conducts this well, where like certain friends you might not, maybe it hurts their feelings, so you shouldn't prank them. But I have some friends that me and them will lightheartedly prank each other at times, because if you know that they're allowed to prank you and you're allowed to prank them, it can be pretty fun. But it can go pretty far too. I've had some friends who have pranked each other way too far. So you gotta keep it light. Now, we're going to open this fella now. And like I was saying earlier, a brief synopsis of what I said then for any more newcomers. And also for any newcomers, I gotta say, make sure you've checked out that documentary that's linked in the description here. But also for any newcomers, I'll say, I'm not a consumerist. You're not gonna see many plastic things being unboxed from fresh on this channel. Most of the things you'll see here, apart from maybe dice, will be used when possible, unless it's a particular type of science gear maybe. But this means a lot to me because this represents that people liked my videos and learned from my videos, and this I'm going to consider my weird version of a diploma for the success of a whole grade, including a final exam, a bunch of students and everything. So I've sliced this open. However, I'm not sure if there's anything on the inside that's going to say my address, so I am going to have to take a peek at it before I show the direction to you. I have no idea what packaging or padding is in. This is literally what they sent. They sent it like this, but with my address on the front. Is that glitchy looking bit is where I ripped my address off. But there's a chance it's going to say my address again for some shipping thing in the inside. So I do have to look at it from my direction first to see if there's stuff like that. So there is a note that is going to be generalized and to anyone they do this to, but it does not say my address, so I can show it to you what it looks like. So here's what we got. They probably anticipated this. I feel like if these things did have the type of packing slip that a lot of packages do have in them, a lot of people would have accidentally shown their address in the past, so they probably fixed that. Now, to anyone in the chat, don't say same thing too many times. It won't get me to notice you better. The ones I notice and like the best are, a little comment here and there with a different thought or question. So we will open this right now and see what's on the inside. We got this foam thing, which is so it doesn't get bumped up too much. We got a letter, and first you got this little business card looking thing that says that my thing was packaged and inspected with great care by somebody's name. It's only a first name, but I'll let the fella be anonymous. They did a good job. But then you get a letter from the current CEO or whatever she is, Susan Wojcicki, or however you pronounce it, that is generalized into everyone. That is, I don't care about that. That they just print out for everyone. This is the thing that says Demotro from Combo Class. And that is pretty wild. What makes this so wild is that, like I mentioned, this channel is barely more than 7 months old. The first video on this channel was posted at the beginning of 7 months from 2 days ago. Some of them were filmed a little before that, but the earliest that any video that showed up from Combo Class online was posted, although I'd filmed some main channel episodes before that. But the first time anything on this had been started was last April, but April 11th. So on April 11th, it will be 1 year from any content on this channel having been filmed. So this is absolutely wild, and I'll show you what it looks like. You also get another random black, and whoa, that's funny. They got one of these things, one of these little packets of desiccant or whatever that are to keep stuff. Usually have these in food. And it is funny, Susan is no longer the CEO. I wonder if I was one of the last ones that's going to have her name on that. I will answer questions in a minute. Let's see. It's now oxygenated, to whoever said that. it probably was already oxygenated before they put it in this box. But we'll look a little more close at that in a second. Here you just got the rest of your box, unless they hid anything weird in there. Nope. You know, too bad I didn't get this on April Fool's Day. I could have pre-opened it and put something really weird back there and then been like, oh my god, look what YouTube sent me. But it came a day or two after April Fool's Day. It actually came an hour or two before the stream. I didn't know if... Well, it came whenever I scheduled the stream, which was a couple hours ago. But it was at like 3-4 hours ago or something. And so I didn't know that was going to be part of the stream. I knew today's stream was going to be about my freshly upgraded combo classroom. I didn't know it was necessarily going to be about this. So, here we got this, and now we can take it out of this. It has a felt-like... Oh, this is interesting. It has like a way to hold it where it has like a hollowness back there. You got some little hollow bits. And then you got a straight-up mirror where there's a literal mirror right here. It's probably going to show my view of the stream chat and stuff. So, wow, that's wild. Like I said, we can't keep this in the combo classroom, fellas, because, like, just look at the wind. It's so dirty back here that if I try and hang it somewhere, it's going to do one of these things in a second. We'll leave it there until the wind takes care of it, and I'll try and keep an eye on it. I hope the wind doesn't pause and then distract me enough that it stays here and then gets knocked over. But it can't be out in the combo classroom for too long. However, I had in the back of my head the thought, does it fit in the grandfather clock? Because the grandfather clock has like a compartment. So I'm not sure if I would keep it in here. Feels... I don't know. I don't think I want it in the background of my videos anyway. Like, I might put it in the background of where I live stream in my room or something, but I want a bunch of old clocks and dice in the background of my videos. The thing I was saying about me not being a consumerist, I'll break my normal feeling for getting a piece of plastic or metal in the mail to be really proud of this, but not enough to want it in the background of my videos. Unfortunately, this doesn't get the honor of being in the background of the videos. So, maybe the background of the streams. But it's too attention grabby and flashy and show-offy and stuff to have it in the middle of all the streams. So, we'll probably not keep it in this clock for too long, but temporarily I could put it in here. Now, okay, I'm only going to put it in here for a minute because it actually, if I didn't like fix it in somehow, it could fall and maybe break the glass of this thing. But there you go. That's a good view, huh? Yeah. There we go. That is a good, nice view. So I'll take a nice photo of that later. So, by the way, I've never really mentioned this, but speaking of taking a photo of it, I rarely post on social media, but I might as well mention my personal Instagram page that I occasionally post photos to is already the first result for some reason if you search Demotro. So I don't want that to be the first Google result. I want Demotro to bring up the channel first. I like never post on Instagram. There's like 20 pictures on there total or something. But maybe 40, I don't know. But if you are somebody who does use Instagram a bunch, you might as well follow Lord Demotro on there. I had to go for Lord Demotro, like how I'm one of the combo lords, and in fact was originally the combo lord before I began teaching all of the other combo lords. So I had to go with Lord Demotro because Demotro was taken. Must be another Demotro out there on Instagram. Shout out to the other Demotro, I guess. Hi. Not that many Demotros out there. Okay, time to show one more thing about the classroom, by the way. And, okay, I should really get that out of there. I'm worried it's going to fall and shatter the glass. Okay? Now, I'm worried I messed up the chiming mechanism. I gotta like look inside this thing because it was chiming at first when I like turned the hands right. And the weights should turn it on its own, but then the chiming is weird. It's like really hard to trigger the right one. I have this video clip where I'm like trying to chime it and trying to chime it for this little bit I filmed for the finale. The ending, the Great Negative One finale documentary. This won't spoil it. Make sure you watch it at some point. It's very important to me, but this won't spoil it. At the end, there's some clock chiming noises. And the bit that's already spoiled is that at the end, I mean, there's a lot of arcs in it, but that part of it is I have a new lab coat and I have this grandfather clock and stuff. But I flashed the grandfather clock on screen very briefly and quickly. So only a few people in the Convo Class Discord found it, I think. And a few viewers must have seen it, but I only saw it mentioned in the Convo Class Discord that I flashed for a few fractions of a second at moments of the episode where I mentioned a clock or near the end, a little clip of me standing at the brand new desk with this thing swinging and chiming. And the chiming noise was in the background, but you only saw the grandfather clock in these like 3 minuscule clips of it. I think about 3 that I put in the episode, like 1 near the middle and 2 near the end. So if you want to look for hidden frames of that, there's a fun couple hidden ones there that now is revealed, because what it was basically showing was me at this view with this thing fully going, which we will make it fully go again for a video about how it works with gravity powering itself. Now this thing, this lovely thing, we're just going to keep this on the table for now. It's going to get a bunch of fallen tree bits on it. That's fine. But it's hopefully not going to have anything too chaotic happen to it. You never know. This wind is crazy. When I set up the whiteboards and clocks, and then I come back after like a few hours, they're always all knocked over. There's like... Here, the people who jump in the stream late are going to want to see this thing because of the title. I'll put it somewhere visible. There we go. It's safe. Now, what's the video called? I forget if I referred to multiple. If you just mean the finale, the documentary, it's on the Combo Class channel, not this. The channel called Combo Class, which is where my main channel, kind of, in a way. This one has way more content, and it got here first. But this channel is more like my playground, and that one is the episodes that I really feel are like I did perfect. And let's see, someone asked what my opinion of South Park is. I don't really watch it, but I've seen funny ones before. I think I don't mind that type of offensive humor in a show always, but South Park... I maybe it's even the animation style I don't like that much, but I've never had the desire to watch it that much. But I've enjoyed it before, but I don't think I've ever decided to put it on myself. I do like certain cartoons and animation. I'll make videos analyzing old animations at some point. They're good animated shows, but to me, like, some of the greatest works of media are animated things that were made from the 40s and 50s and 30s and a while ago. A lot of hand-drawn animations are super cool looking. So I do like animated stuff, but I haven't watched that much South Park. Somebody said, what would I do if I hit 200K? And I believe we will. The main question, let me plug in this computer right here too. The main question I would say is when we will. We really need to get that main Combo Class channel to catch up though. Everybody, tell one of your teachers someday about Combo Class. I want it played in more schools. Tell one of your teachers about the main Combo Class channel someday. They'll find some episode on there that'll be good for their curriculum, or maybe even to show in class. Now, someone's asking, how long does the glass remain unshattered? If you mean the grandfather clock's glass. I will try and be a little more careful than usual with the grandfather clock. I might throw a tarp over it when it's going to rain. I'll treat it with a mild amount more care than the other clocks. And you never know. Some of them just like do well. That one on the wall over there is a glass one. Totally, these ones, those 3 wall ones were just like great during grade -1. They held up amazingly. And hard to say because I do wild stuff back here. So I'll say that while I will try and keep it looking good for at least the first half of grade -2, I wouldn't be shocked if it broke sooner. So, thank you all for joining me and for the comments. One other thing I wanted to show is I set up all of these clocks, and we even got some new clocks for the grades, so got some more clocks. And I even got that thing that supposedly tells the temperature. And yes, it's in Fahrenheit. I wish it was in Celsius. It was the cheap one. Don't say that because I'm an American who uses stuff like that I'm supporting it. I'm stuck in this culture. Celsius makes more sense, trust me. Fahrenheit's what they had at the store. But it tells the time. Wait, what am I saying? It's the only one that doesn't tell the time. It tells the temperature. And if it's correct, it was pretty cheap, so I don't know. But if it's correct, it is 52 degrees Fahrenheit right now. I think that's actually pretty accurate. Let me actually check for just like my area, a weather app on my phone, and see what that says. So, according to a weather app on my phone, this area is 42 degrees. So yeah, that's reading too high maybe. Unless that's maybe just up there it's nice and warm. I don't know. Maybe it's a vague enough neighborhood that it's not that part. I don't know how accurate it is. Somewhere around 52 degrees. Now, it feels colder because of all the wind. Now, somebody is wondering, where does 2i land on the clock? And I'm not sure which clock you mean. If you mean my Roots of Unity clock, that's not out here because I made a clock of what's called the Roots of Unity, which make sure you've seen that episode on the Combo Class channel. It's cool. But it's like all the roots of the number 1. And I made a clock of them because they lie on the unit circle of the complex plane in a really clock-like way. And so that represented the 12th roots of the number 1, or the 12th roots of unity. And that's indoors because it would have been destroyed in the rain. It's been raining a bunch out here. Now that the rain paused, I'll bring it back out. 2i would land on a bigger version of the clock. You'd need a bigger unit circle. And where would 2i land on the time clock? Like, if you mean like modular arithmetic 2i, that you'd need an extra dimension of clock. So, interesting thought, but we couldn't do it on this type of clock. So, this, we're already using the dimensionality to represent all the possible numbers. I can go forward or I can go backwards. So we would really need a new axis. We could maybe make a spherical or toroidal, meaning like donut-shaped clock. You never know. We haven't looked at toruses much yet. Those are actually an underrated, pretty cool shape. The donut shape, called a torus. Torus. And those have a lot of cool properties. So, you know, they're a little underrated next to the sphere. But in a way, it's like a sphere with a hole in it. So, what is the first lesson of grade -2? Well, right now, like I said, we're in sort of early to class phase. And Right now, that means this week I'll probably do some bonus videos that are just other random topics I want to do for fun. Maybe start getting back into some shorts, which I might put some shorts on the main combo class channel too, just because they were so incredibly good at drawing people to this channel that maybe they will help draw more people to that channel as well. Might put a mix of shorts on the different channels, but because this is in general, it started as my shorts channel, but in more so this is my quantity channel and that's my quality channel, so you can kind of get either and or both. Of course, I like to think this has quality as well, but in terms of what they, you know, push more toward, this is going to be more likely to include videos on this channel that are one long take, whereas that one is more thought out and edited together and semi-scripted and stuff like that. So the first lesson on the main combo class channel will be coming out in a little bit because I want to give time for the long documentary I made for a finale to sink in and for everyone to get it, make sure they've watched that all the way through, and just take a breather and see where I'm at, although this channel will still have a ton of content. And so the main channel or the combo class channel will have an intro episode in a week or a week and a half from now, but that's just going to be a little welcome to the grade, and it may get a little mathy in that episode. I have one way to turn it into a little math lesson as well. The main full first math lesson of grade -1 will be coming 2 or 3 weeks from now, because there'll be that little intro episode first, but there will be a bunch of stuff on this channel in the meantime too. So we are early for class right now, it's true. Now, in this stream, we will be doing a stream at this time each Monday, and often they will not usually be called opening YouTube's silver play button box, because that would get old pretty quick. They will usually be called Modular Monday number something, because in March I was doing my Monday streams in the morning, so maybe a different batch of people are here now than were there for those. It was my morning, but I was calling them Modular Mondays, and we were going through one mod at a time to sort of like different amounts of number on a clock, different amounts at a time, and we did the first 4 mods. So those are posted as videos. I pretty much always post the stream as a video afterward. And so I can't think of any time I haven't. I think all the streams are videos now. So although they show up on the other part, like on the channel now, it goes shorts, videos, live. So they're under the bit that says live. And so with those, you might want to rewatch those if you don't know anything about mods 1 through 4. At least maybe the last one in mod 4 you could rewatch later, because if you haven't seen it, I mean, because if you weren't there for the stream, we went into a cool property of how mod 4 relates to which numbers can be the sum of 2 squares. Now, we will go on to mod 5 next week, so we'll do Modular Mondays number 5 at this time next Monday. And mod 5 I almost made today also about, because it's not a mod that has as much necessarily to talk about as mod 4. However, it's a good example of a prime mod. I'm not going to spoil all of the modular division stuff in it, but prime mods are good for modular division, and they're good for some other stuff. And 3 and 2 are pretty small mods, so kind of hard to visualize their traits in them. They have super miniature cycles. So 5 is a pretty good example of a prime mod to use. Not too big, not too small. And so we'll see some traits that 5 has that 4 didn't in the mod 5 one next. Mostly due to a lot of stuff going on in the mods relates to which numbers less than a number are co-prime to that number, have no factors in common with it greater than 1. And so, for example, in mod 4, things congruent to 2 might have certain traits based on 2 being not co-prime to 4. They have a factor in common. 1 and 3, however, were co-prime to 4. Well, in a prime mod, everything is co-prime to it. When we introduced that, it actually was in the context of that being an unhelpful thing, because I did an episode about these spiky shapes that use which numbers are co-prime under a number to kind of see spiky shapes on a clock that touched every corner were the co-prime ones when you made their spiky shapes. And it told us about the last digit prime numbers could end in different bases. So that's a cool episode on the Combo Class channel about spiky shapes and prime numbers. But in that context, it was a bad thing to have a prime mod, because if you were trying to figure out which numbers might be prime, it eliminated like nothing. It would be like saying primes can end in any last digit. Whereas in our base, we think, oh, for a multi-digit prime, it at least ends in a 1, 3, 7, or 9. Like you get that gut feeling, something that ends in a 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0 is even, ends in a 5 is divisible by 5. So in our base, it helps in a way to be like, okay, where are the primes at? Well, it's not all the numbers that end in 1, 3, 5, or 7, but it's helpful to know that that limits it a little bit. That those are the spots it could be. It would be even more helpful in a limiting way in something like base 6 or 12, where only 1/3 of the possible digits, not 4/10 or 2/5 in our base, are possibilities for primes to live. But then, on the other hand, we are going to get traits, which I'll show next week and show further in a modular division episode, of times where the prime mod is good, where you do want your mod to be prime. And I do have a video explaining the mods. That one on the main channel is called Modular Multiplication Magic. I also have a video clarifying like how to make a multiplication table from it on this channel. So there's also a video on this channel called like making a mod 6 table from scratch or something like that. And that's an example of just making a multiplication table for a mod, which is one of their very useful traits. But the main one's called Modular Multiplication Magic. Now, let me go over one fun fact from that again, because it'll show up and reminds us of a lot of cool properties. One thing I noted there that is useful to bring back up is that if I start at the 12 and I go a certain amount of hours, that same amount of times, so like I go 12 hours 12 times, or I go 16 hours 16 times, or I go 101 hours 101 times. Well, if I start at the 12 on a 12-hour clock, I'm always going to end up at the 12, 1, 4, or 9. And that's because those are the quadratic residues mod 12. The only things that square numbers can live at, and by adding the number at the same amount of times, you get a square number. And what do you know? I cut myself on... Was that the play button I cut myself on? I have like a pretty small, but there, cut. But I wonder if that was this thing. It's kind of sharp. So, that would be ironic if after all the fires and desk breakings and stuff, this fancy... rectangular thing is what hurts me. That is true that we're getting really glitchy, by the way, unfortunately. I think I just don't have a very good... What I might need to do in the future, because I don't have a great internet connection, is stream at slightly lower looking quality, and then it'll not have the glitches. And then, as a long-term solution, try and get this into Ethernet as opposed to Wi-Fi. It also might be that I'm mildly further from the thing, because I'm all the way out here, but we don't have too much longer in today's stream anyway. Hypothesis. It gave me a cut. Next step, test my hypothesis. Well, the only way to test my hypothesis there would be with a time machine. I could try and get... I mean, the only way to fully prove it, but I could try and get another cut and see if that's the case. So like if you touch it lightly, it doesn't give me a cut when I do that. So we're okay. It was maybe not the play button, but I don't know. It was probably something around here. It's the combo class. Come on, you're gonna get a scratch here and there. So, in fact, there's only one time that I actually hurt myself more than a scratch here. And to those who have seen the finale, I have been hurt many ways and many times. But it has not been from the combo classroom. The fires have not hurt me. The falling clocks have given me mere scratches. And the only thing that mildly hurt me is, I forget which episode. It might be in that spiky shape episode that I was just talking about, ironically. It's in an episode around that time on the Combo Class channel. Right at the end of the episode, I step on what was left of the old desk, and it just snapped through, and I hit a metal part, and I got like a mild cut on my leg. So it was actually the old desk that me leaning on it and it breaking and hitting me with something. I shouldn't have leaned on it, but the old desk out of all the things was what gave me the largest combo class injury. It wasn't a very big one though. And this new desk, here's what I'm thinking. We got 4 legs on this bad boy. Uh-oh. We got 4 legs on this thing, so I'm thinking if I play it safe, I'll never lose more than 1 leg at a time. So once we lose 1 leg, 3 legs should be good. Another leg is going to be a bit more ambiguous, but maybe it can stand on 2 legs. We'll have to see. 1 leg is going to be a stretch, but we'll see. We also had a diagonal desk for a little bit last grade, and I must admit, I liked the surreal nature of how things slid down it. So if the desk goes diagonal, we're going to keep it that way. But we're going to try and keep the desk safe for a little bit, because we have all grade for the chaos to accumulate, and the last desk broke, halfway or earlier through the grade. So we might want to play it a little safer with this one. Try and have it have 4 legs for a little bit of time. Now, let's see what other comments we got here. Thank you for the fans of the finale. And someone saying they're asking to specialize what type of content I make. I'm not sure if you mean like to clarify what type of content I make or something. A lot of these videos are about what's called number theory and other fields of math. Although I shouldn't say fields of math, because I always say that casually, but a field is a mathematical thing we will be talking about soon. So I need to start saying branches of math, because a field is a specific mathematical thing we will talk about. So in other branches of math and number theory is a lot of it, but I just like learning weird things and presenting them to folks, and I also have other strange outlooks on life and passions that I like to present, so we get various types of science. And in grade -2, the one main thing we're going to get different or added on is there's going to be a bit more music involved, mostly music theory lessons. There'll be some music theory videos on the main channel about how the 12-tone scale has cool patterns. There will be some bonus videos here where I'll just do a bunch of music theory lessons, because that used to be my day job, was teaching private music lessons. The majority of my students were music. There was some math, but mostly music. And I kind of quit that partially in mind with the thought that I would now be able to make videos on that and teach a larger scale of people music. So at some point, any combo lord who is following my journey will eventually know how to play piano and guitar and a few other things. Now, there also will occasionally at some point be songs I release on here, because I make music. But if you ever hear a music video or something I put on here and you don't like the song, don't worry, it's not going to be the main focus of the channel. If I get back into recording a ton of music like I used to, then I'll just put out like here and there a music video, and then I'll put most of it on Spotify or something. But I have been recording music my whole life, and we'll probably get back into it. I have a lot of stuff almost finished that at some point there will also be music I've made on this channel. And if you don't like it, just stick around because there's still going to be math and stuff. Someone's saying Euler's totient function would be a cool video. And that is exactly what I was describing, basically, with the amount of numbers co-prime and smaller than the thing. So I have described that function without naming it yet, because it will have its own episode, I know, where it'll have plenty of time to name it and describe its named properties. The time it's come up is in that Spiky Shapes episode, because without describing that that's the name of what was happening, all of the clock patterns I were showing were related to, it's the description of that. How many numbers are smaller than something but co-prime to it, and which ones. Now, really, the totient function just counts them, so it's a little different. It would be saying, otherwise we would say like the totatives or something. I'm not positive how you pronounce it, because it seems like it's like totient then goes to totative, but the totatives I'm going to go with of the number are counting them or having them all, but the function does just count them, so it's a little different than what I was doing, but it relates a lot. So that will be the heart of many episodes, because we're going to need to spend some time with that function to explain a lot of the clock patterns. It's related to a lot of the modular congruences I was mentioning, like the ones about which numbers end up at a 1 when you do what. Someone's wondering if I have thought about discussing encryption, and we'll probably discuss that at some point, like the RSA encryption and other methods that prime numbers and actually semi-prime numbers that are made up of primes, so primes are still involved, are used to hide data like passwords. We'll go into that at some point, yeah. So feel free to leave any more comments, because I'm going to wrap up the stream pretty soon. Mostly what I wanted to do here is show you folks how it's looking fresh here again. And for anyone who likes the chaos, you know it's only going to be so long before this lab coat I'm wearing on the inside looks like this lab coat I'm wearing on the outside. Look at this thing. For anyone who didn't watch the whole finale, I'll know you didn't watch the whole finale if you ask how the coat got this burnt, because I was in that. But look at this coat. It's so burnt at this point that when I touch it, sometimes bits of it fall off. And I'm like, I gotta put it on carefully if I don't want to rip it to shreds. So, this is one of the only double lab coat streams. Actually, you know, maybe we'll have to double lab coat it whenever we do a science experiment. So maybe I'll look mildly like this. It'll actually maybe be reversed. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the double lab coat will typically be for... Right now it was genuinely mostly because it was cold out. And then I was like, hey, you know, that's kind of symbolic of being between grades. We'll roll with that too. But it's also just really cold out. I have a lot of layers on. It's the wind that's making it cold. That thing can't be right. It can't be 50 degrees now. The weather app said it was a lot colder. I don't know. Maybe it's right and it's just the wind. But I have like a lot of layers on. Okay. So, alright. So, I'm going to log off the stream pretty soon. Leave any last comments or thoughts. And make sure you've checked out not just the finale episode, but also the one before was called A Final Exam, is also really fun. And just make sure on that channel, I recommend that whether or not you have like this channel, some sort of the notifications for, where you can do that bell thing to get more notifications from a channel. I'm not even going to bug people to do that about this channel. I know this channel has a lot of random content, but you should do that for the combo class channel, where you're notified when an episode comes out, because I only put out something on there when it's like a really cool little project. But I'm going to do that every week now that it's my job. I have been able to somehow get one out every week-ish, like on average, and we're going to continue that. Not exactly once a week right now, just on average. And it's going to be a little more till the next one because the finale was so long, and that needs a minute to sink in. But then we're going to have a little welcome intro episode and a little more than a week on that channel, and then we're going to have a math one shortly after and a bunch of math ones in a row, because I know we've done a few that are a little more like philosophy and field trips and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing a bunch of math ones in a row on that combo class channel for sure. Someone asked about a video about the 13-sided aperiodic monotile. Yeah, I was reading about that. I will probably make a video about that. It was called the Einstein, but not based on Einstein, the guy, based on that translating to what's called one stone. So it was based on it being one stone that tiles space in an aperiodic way. And yeah, so I read about it. I didn't, from first reading it, have a full enough grasp of it to make a video yet, because I'm not going to make a video about something I kind of know. So I'll read a few more articles about it, and then if and when I get a good grasp on exactly how to describe it well, in my own words but correctly, that's a trick. I want to describe stuff in my own words but get it right, you know? So I will, at some point in the near future, read a few more articles about that, and for sure consider a bonus video about it. And yes, fairy circles and Stern-Brokat trees definitely will be a video. I did a short about fairy sequences, and fairy sequences, which are a way of enumerating fractions, are really cool. They relate to that other one, to the Euler's totient function. They relate to a lot of great stuff. Stern-Brokat trees are another way of making fractions, and those are for sure going to be and then the circles that are mentioned in that comment, fairy circles, are cool. I think those might be called Ford circles, or a related one, or maybe those are two different ones. There's definitely going to be videos about those ones. And a video about Fermat's last theorem, yeah. So the reason I haven't done a video about Fermat's last theorem yet is I have a book that's entirely about that. Like, I actually know a good amount about it. I know definitely enough to make a good video about Fermat's last theorem about it. However, I also own a book I bought used that is a book called Fermat's Enigma by Simon Singh, for anyone who wants to read along. Just a book that I saw was recommended. I haven't read much of it yet. That's entirely about Fermat's last theorem. So I was like, maybe I should read this book I have that's entirely about that, and I'm sure I'll get one or two facts that I want to add to whatever video I'd make. I would feel dumb if I made a video, then read a book about it, and then saw a fact that I would have wanted to put in. So I want to read that book first and add to my stack of knowledge about it. But for those who don't know, Fermat's last theorem is really cool because it's one of the simplest questions in number theory. Can you have versions of a to the n plus a to the n plus b to the n equals c to the n, where n is larger than 2? The case of 1 is obviously an infinite amount of answers, just addition. The case of 2 is the Pythagorean triples, which there are an infinite amount of, and there are none beyond that. You can't have 2 cubes add to another cube and so on of integers. And so it was really hard to prove, though. But the reason it went down in history is not only because it took hundreds of years before it was proved. In 1993/1994, there was a little correction the guy added on to fully get the proof finished in 1994. It was first presented in 1993. But the proof not only is like super long and modern and requires all sorts of mathematics that is built over hundreds of years, but there was this historical question of whether this guy Fermat had known it back in the day with some other proof, because he had this cryptic note in the margin of one of his books that said, basically when he died, one of the notebooks, which was filled with other mostly accurate proofs and stuff, also had a little margin note that's like, I have found a proof that this a to the n plus b to the n equals c to the n can't exist for integers and n greater than 2. But the proof is too long to this. I don't know how he phrased it, but something along the lines of, the proof is too big to fit in this margin. And then the dude dies and leaves that. And people are like, what? You had a proof, but it didn't fit in the margin? And then he died? And so mathematicians were like, I'm going to be the one to find the proof. And for hundreds of years, people are like, there must be a proof that was possible with those earlier knowledge of math. Like they're imagining some proof that's, a page or two that is out there and somewhere in the spectrum of life, the possibilities. But it turns out the proof that ended up happening required so much modern math that there's no way Fermat knew that type of proof. And most likely, I'll go into this more in the episode when I make an episode about this. This is why I want to read that book, to get more sure about this hypothesis. There's a certain type of proof using this thing called infinite descent that can prove that you can't have fourth powers do it. That you can't have two fourth powers add to another fourth power. I think that I've read this as one of the hypotheses that is had is, there's many options. Fermat had a magnificent proof we still don't know. Fermat was pranking everybody. Fermat was delusional. Fermat, and this is, I guess, delusional will be rephrased. That whole third category is basically Fermat thought he had a proof, but he didn't. I think it's in that category, and I think he thought he had a proof by something that can prove the case for the fourth powers, which he might have known and been able to do, but that he was wrong that it actually applies to all the others. So, I'm going to read a whole book to confirm my hypothesis, then I'll make my episode. Partially because I like reading, and partially because, I want these episodes to be accurate. Now, of course, you're not going to get a diploma from me. So, if you ever learn something from me you're interested in, maybe I'm describing it in a casual way. You should, I say things casually because it's YouTube. So if you're ever interested in a topic I tell you, you should read about it too. You shouldn't treat me as your only source of knowledge. If anything, I am your gateway into learning the potential of certain corners of math and showing you that they exist. And I'll show you the patterns. I will tell you technical definitions. But remember, this isn't, the same thing as reading out of a textbook on purpose. That's why we have this thing, if I made my videos out of a textbook, we wouldn't have this. I will write a textbook-like book before long. I want to get started on really jumping into my Threven book, which I said I would do this month, and it's time. So I'm going to write a book about, which I have more than enough notes for. It's all about cultivating the notes into a form for you folks. About Threven and Throd numbers, as well as even and odd numbers. And due to the combination of those, the book will be sort of, to a degree, about mod 6, because that's the cycles of evens and threvens. I'll sneak attack that mod 6 into it, so, I'll make it a catchy book about threvens. And by the midpoint, everyone will know mod 6 patterns. By the end, everyone will agree that we should count in mod 6. Someone saying a video about the Poincare conjecture would also be great. That one is pretty hard to describe. I've read a lot about that. I don't think I fully grasp it yet. It's a very complicated question in topology. I understand the question. It's about sphere-like things in higher dimensions, but I don't think all of the stuff like explaining anything related to the proof I understand quite well enough to be confident in making a video about. However, I might still make a video about it about the history of it, because the Poincare conjecture is the only of the $1 million problems that has been solved, and the guy didn't take the $1 million. And there's a whole story behind the guy. He's super interesting. So if anything, I may make a video about the dude Grigory Perelman, who's super interesting, who solved the Poincare conjecture. But I need to research the Poincare conjecture more before I do it. I read a book about the 7 millennium problems, but it only has it's a section about each one. While it was a good book, some of them I still don't fully understand. They're very deep questions. The only one of those $1 million questions that I really understand well enough to make a video at any point right now is the Riemann hypothesis. So the Riemann hypothesis will definitely get a video on grade -2. That one, I have already brainstormed how I'll describe it. And yes, someone's saying negative numbers are not too different from imaginary numbers. And someone else asked if all numbers are imaginary numbers to different powers. They could be phrased that way. There are many ways to add up to different numbers. So there are many ways to describe the number 2. You could say it's the square root of 2 squared. You could say it's something further involving eyes. So, and someone's saying, but real numbers don't become complex when exponentiated, and that's actually related to these things called fields that we'll talk about someday. That, not like a field, the casual term, like a different field, but like a certain type of thing similar to a mod. Fields are like, not exactly the same, but very similar. And, for example, you can have, it's important that the real numbers are closed under multiplication and addition. When you multiply or add any two members of them, you get another member of them. You're not a member of something else. And so that's very important that we'll go into, is that the real number line is self-contained in certain ways and works really well. Then when you need some more, for example, when you're analyzing certain polynomial equations, you can look at the complex numbers and go that dimension, and it is also, in its own bigger way, very self-contained and good. So it's a bigger, more self-contained, has another dimension realm. But the real numbers, it is important to note that if you just added or multiplied two of them, you can say they remain closed under those because we get another member of them. Try and think about what other things have that property, you know? For example, here's a good question for you folks to ponder through, like for your brain. Are the rational numbers, the numbers that can be expressed as a fraction of two integers, which includes integers, because you could put 1 at the bottom, are the rational numbers closed under multiplication and addition? That's a good one for you folks to think about. Someone's recommending something about gaps between primes by Zhang, or however that's pronounced. Zhang, I'm not sure. And that guy, I'm not sure if that's the same Zhang who has proved the really big stuff about the twin prime conjecture, but maybe. Someone either, I think that might be the same guy who proved originally that primes infinitely many times happen a finite distance, or at least had the same last name. Video on Pythagorean ratios and musical notes, someone asked, and we will do that at some point. First, the music theory lessons are going to be related to how this clock and any 12-hour cycle, or a clock with 12 of something going on, has patterns relating to the 12-note musical scale we use. And I did some shorts that really quickly were like, this is my cheat code for how to make major and minor chords. I want to do a full episode saying that in more detail. What are major chords? What are minor chords? What is Demotro's cheat code for making them? I also want to show how we can draw them on clocks, what major and minor chords look like on a musical clock. And then the next step after chords is scales. And then we're going to look at major and minor scales in an episode and all the patterns those have. After that, we will see which other musical topics we will get to. There's a lot of different types of requests. Some people want me to look at the scales that don't have 12 notes total. A different amount of notes. Some people want other ones. So there will be a variety of music theory lessons, but I imagine that the first ones will be chords, then scales. We're going to be using a piano as the main example because that lays it out cleanest and most in a row, but I'll probably also show the stuff on guitar just to have like two perspectives of what it might look like. So, someone's wondering if I've taken formal math classes, and I have. I've taken college level math classes, but not some levels. There are some levels that I've only studied through books and through online and such. I may take classes for fun in the future. I don't think I would ever enroll to try and get a degree because we got our own thing going on here. We got our type of degree here. We got that in barely over 7 months, right after making my final exam. It's a reverse schooling going on. Feels like everything's backwards here. I'm in class, but I'm the teacher. There's 20 clocks. My diploma looks different, and I'm the one who made the test. What's going on? But I have taken some college math classes. However, while I learned stuff from those, I found that I learn best from having books and online resources, reading about something, looking up more about it, and taking a bajillion notes on my own. Note-taking is a very important part of my process. It helps you put your thoughts in a clear, organized way. Then it has a place you can come back to and edit and add to. So trust me, the combo class document, which has also become a math brainstorms document, has been a very important process. I also have paper notebooks I like, but the computer document on here for combo class 2 is where I've been doing a bunch of writing and going off on math rabbit holes. Important to have a place to take notes. I also recommend sometimes doing it on paper, sometimes doing it on the computer, switch it up. Same with reading. Sometimes read a paper book, sometimes read a computer thing, switch it up. All right, and a video on v minus e plus f equals 2, that did show up in a video. That showed up in the video I called the mysterious hyperdice sequence because we looked at that for the Platonic solids. So we saw that very briefly. We'll look at Euler's characteristic, as that is known. Some people call that Euler's formula, which is so confusing because there's the one called Euler's identity, which is e to the I pi plus 1 equals 0. Plus 1 equals 0. Or you could say e to the I pi equals -1, same thing. That one, it can be called Euler's identity or Euler's theorem. This one can be called Euler's characteristic or Euler's theorem. That Euler's theorem overlap isn't helping anyone. So when you see this one, let's all call this one Euler's characteristic. Someone's wondering if this is the second 100K silver award. It's not. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you mean for the other channel, that channel doesn't have as many subscribers as this. The shorts did so well on this channel that, I have one short on here that has 12 million views. I have about 10 shorts total that have more than 1 million views on here. And the channel has 40 million views from all the different stuff spread out. So this channel has grown way faster. The combo class channel is close to 26,000. If everybody who's watching this and watches this in the future makes sure they're subscribed to the combo class channel, we'll get to 26,000 there soon. But that one has a little bit to go. And it's ironic because, like I said, this one was called the bonus channel. But it turns out this one became the Demotro's Playground, slightly more uncut, slightly more quantity over perfectionism. The other one was a little more, carefully crafted, a little more on the quality end. And it turns out quantity did better. It contained the shorts, so it's biased. But to anyone doing an experiment, Someday I'll show you guys all of the charts on my YouTube. I'm an honest person, and I want to show everything with my life with you folks at some point. That's part of why I talked about this, is it's just kind of an interesting, weird thing for someone. You folks obviously watch YouTube. I've always watched YouTube. So it's just like a weird thing to actually see this here. And so, yeah, I wanted to take you along with the process. I'll take you along with the process at some point of looking at the graphs of which ones did well and which ones didn't. Funny enough, the video that got 12 million on here about dividing by zero is the most popular video when I put them on TikTok too. So popular on there. When I divided by zero in that video, it's the most popular video for combo class twice. If you counted just by views on any site, all the videos, the first one would be divide by zero on YouTube. The second one would be divide by zero on TikTok. For some reason, everyone loved that. I gotta kiss this calculator. This calculator is why we got this thing. Obviously, I could have used a different calculator. It's not the calculator itself. But this is the calculator that got us 15 million views total and 12 on here. So that greatly contributed. So that gets to live back there. We also got this for anyone who saw the finale. I said, I kept a piece of the desk, of the old desk. It's true, I kept it. It's here. This is the piece of the desk. We're keeping it in the background. And of course, once in a while you gotta upgrade your dice. And looking back there, it also reminds me, oh, this calculator got no credit. I need to film something on this fella to give this guy some time to shine. So, these will get an episode at some point. So, I used to do these for fun. I'm going to have to relearn the algorithm to solve the 3. But, I'll be able to relearn it pretty quick. So, for fun, someday I'll do an episode about these. And before I'll learn the algorithm good enough to do this, maybe I'll try for a minute. I used to be able to do that when I was really young. Or maybe I won't dedicate that much time and go for doing it in 2 minutes. So, someone says they like the homemade kind of YouTubers rather than the ultra professional. I agree. I think that YouTube in general, that's what I see it as, is it represents to me the most popular place for the non-Netflix, non-Hollywood type things. I don't watch many shows. I don't watch Netflix. I watch pretty much nothing but YouTube. Occasionally I will watch a film or a comedy TV show, or occasionally I will watch certain genres of film can be interesting, but pretty much all I watch is YouTube. And I think that what it's good for can be showing how with real creativity it can be more interesting to watch than some studio trying to calculate everything. And similar to how old painters sometimes had a limited canvas and painted limited canvas in terms of harder to make the perfect color, the perfect shade so easily. And they made magnificent works of art with the harder, worse colors. Sometimes you make a really beautiful song on a bad guitar because the guitar is not sounding super good and catchy, so you have to make the song really good. That's what has to shine. So, there's something about overproduced stuff I don't like. So, don't worry, if we ever get an overproduced show, we will also have a down-to-earth stream of the week, and the main combo class channel or this channel will not become an overproduced show. I would be fine appearing on somebody's cheesy show or whatever, but this channel and the combo class channel will always have some degree of lo-fi nature to them. I do want to upgrade certain things. I want the audio to sound better. I don't want these glitches in my streams. So, there are things that I want to be a little closer to how Netflix or Hollywood are. But there are other things that those destroy the creative process to a degree. We're here in the wilderness. Nature has helped make this grade. If I was not outdoors, we would not have this plaque. And so it's thanks to all this stuff. It's thanks to that staghorn fern. It's thanks to the birds chirping. It's thanks to the squirrels that run by. All of that stuff seriously helped. And yes, there's a big combo class Discord to whoever asked. In the links in here, there's the Discord, the Patreon, which I'm going to post some new stuff on there soon. That's some extended stuff from the finale. I wrote the names of all the Patreon supporters on a whiteboard in the finale because I wanted to thank them all. They helped me quit my day job. And so I will continue to do cool things for the Patreon supporters, like write all their names here and there, as well as soon I'll be posting even more bonus content from the finale. There's a ton of bonus stuff on there already. So definitely consider checking out the Patreon, people. It helps us continue to not only have clocks and audio gear and hire people and stuff, but just to, feel stable. Really what the money mostly for is hiring people on more days. So having more days where we can cover camera people and stuff and content and stuff like that. So I have always been into math. I'm not going to go down that full rabbit hole story. We've kind of gone down those stories before, so maybe I'll make a bonus video at some point explaining some of the stories of times that math got me extra interested in the past. And yeah, the reason I mentioned the Patreon is because the Discord's linked right next to it. Are they in the description? Maybe they're not. Let me see if I have those in there. Oh, shoot. Yeah, for some reason I don't have them in there. Let me put my links in the description real quick, and then you guys can all grab them. Meanwhile, feel free to leave any actually last questions, because I'm going to end pretty soon. And first, let me throw these links in here. The links are to the main channel, the Patreon, the Discord, and also the subreddit, which needs more cool posts on there. I actually haven't looked there a minute. Maybe people have been posting. I need to check their in, because I actually go on Reddit more than Discord for other reasons. Like, I go on Reddit just to look at dumb memes and stuff. The only Discord I'm on is the combo class one. But since there's the combo class one, I do go on there because it's fun. There's a lot of cool combo heads there. So, but what I meant by that is we should get more cool people on the subreddit too, because that's actually a site I use more. And let me save this. On the Discord, we also, usually on Mondays, we have a new puzzle, as well as shout outs to some of the last people who answered it in the Discord. Okay, now it's updated, I think. And that will be returning again next Monday, as we have this new schedule for April. We will have a puzzle next Monday that will be a fun weekly one, and you can post your answers in the Discord. If you're the first person to post the answer or cool extension to it, I will try and give you a shout out in the next stream. And we'll do those shout outs and puzzle next Monday. To whoever asked about partitions, for sure, partitions came up in one episode briefly in my prime signatures episode, because I found a connection between partitions and prime signatures that I just realized myself when looking at them. And partitions will get their own episode someday, because believe it or not, they relate to pentagonal numbers. So first we're going to see those two things separately, partitions, pentagonal numbers, and then we're going to be like, what? They're related? And so we also got wonderings about Mandelbrot sets and Julia sets and fractals in nature. For sure. If anyone wants to design me any Mandelbrots or Julia sets, they can feel free to email them to me. The contact link is on the About section. At some point, I'll ask more fans on the Discord, because I'll do a Mandelbrot set at some point episode, but I want to use fresh combo lord animations, and I'm not an animator, so I'll get one of my combo lords to whip me up a cool Mandelbrot. And I'll do that at some point. Either grade -2 or -3 will have that. And the time currently is 7:40 p.m. So, I was going to end the stream right now, However, I think it's kind of interesting to see how quickly the darkness can hit it sometimes. It is not the maximum for that this season at all. So sometimes the darkness hits way quicker. But right now we can see things pretty well. It looks pretty bright out, and in literally half an hour, it might be too dark to see me. And someone asked if I'm failure, presumably meaning familiar with Conway Game of Life. Unless they meant, am I a failure at the Game of Life? No, I know what you mean. Yes, I love the Game of Life. Same thing, actually. I want to work with a combo lord who can program one of those for me to put in the episode to have like an original new layout of looking at it. Conway is one of my favorite mathematicians. He actually said that he kind of was a little bitter that he was mostly known for the Game of Life because he had so many other contributions to math. There's so many times Conway is going to come up in an episode. And he's also just one of my favorites because he played games and found numbers from games, and it reminds me of myself. And the Game of Life, though, which is what he's most well known for, is super cool. It is going to not only relate to what's called cellular automata, but it's also going to relate to this one pentomino. These little shapes I like called pentominos. The little arrangement. Where's my pentominoes at? Probably all buried in the dirt with the dice. But I need to get a new set of pentominoes. The R pentomino just goes crazy in the Game of Life. So just wait until I tell you about... You don't have to know what I'm talking about. But the R pentomino in the Game of Life is just really cool. I need to show it sometime. So, someone's saying what's 2 plus 2, and they've gotten many answers. And it is definitely 4. So 2 plus 2 being 5 is a good sort of joke expression to signify something being off. And it's, it's in various parts of culture that 2 plus 2 equals 5. But 2 plus 2 is not 5, and you can invent a land where it does. But as usual, when we say something about numbers or about science or whatever, we assume we're in the typical realm unless you clarify otherwise. And I need to make an episode almost about this, or at least clarifying this sometime, about how people always say, like, well, that's not true because here's an exception. But the exceptions break so many other rules that we are normally simultaneously using that you need to specify when you're not using the real numbers or the complex numbers. If we don't specify, we're using the real numbers or maybe the complex numbers. And so with those systems, 2 plus 2 is 4. And 2 plus 2 will not be something like 5 or another answer, anything apart from 4. In modular arithmetic, it could be something different, because if I have a 3-hour clock, 2 plus 2 is 1. If I have a 4-hour clock, 2 plus 2 is 0. So in modular arithmetic, 2 plus 2 could theoretically be a lower number than what we're used to. And somebody said they've done Langton's Ant. They could maybe do Conway's. That sounds cool. If you want to shoot me an email, I might be interested in working in your Langton's Ant as well. I have chatted with a programmer I'll get back in touch with as well on some cool other sequences I've designed. But I have more than enough ideas that programmers could help me look at, because I have sort of like a billion ideas that I have about a number. And then I test, or a property or a sequence or whatever, and I test a few, and then I hit a brick wall because I don't want to test more by hand, and I don't really program stuff. It's not a skill I've taught myself. I'm very old-fashioned. So any programmers, especially if you can do animations of stuff, should reach out to me. I will definitely credit you. If I can't pay you, I will certainly credit you. And I do want to work in more stuff like that. Although the episodes will typically always have some sort of beginning and or middle in the combo classroom right here for grade -2. There are going to be more visually different things. And the two main differences are going to be sometimes there will be an animated cutscene that comes on, but I don't want to use other existent things. These are going to be things that I have made, either that I've paid someone for or made with a fan who I credit, or made myself. And because like I might do some stop motion and stuff for fun myself. We're going to have more of those moments. We're also going to have more moments where all of a sudden I'm explaining the math in a different part of nature, where I take a field trip somewhere that the episode's not necessarily about. I just want to take a hike and do the backdrop there. We're going to sometimes do episodes where I bring a whiteboard out to a forest by a river. I think that would be a beautiful way to learn certain types of math. Have that river flowing by you. Well, we got our whiteboard in the trees. So, that will be, I think, new. Why don't math channels do that? All right. So, thank you for all joining me. I'm not sure if we should wait for dark or not. And one more note I have, so it might end up getting dark, is, so I put this bird feeder in the classroom, and it's empty, but it wasn't. I bought some seeds. Now, the seeds I bought were some good seeds for those birds. I'm going to treat those birds nice. They gave me some good soundtracks in the background, the whole grade. So I'm going to treat those birds nice. I got them some good seed, but I did get like the cheapest bird feeder because I didn't have any more money. I decided with the budget, it made more sense to get nicer seed, cheaper bird feeder, because I thought they're going to care more about the food than they're going to care about the plastic thing the food's in. However, maybe the other bird feeders were more squirrel proof, because I'm not going to name any names, but I'm pretty sure I know who did that. You see all that stuff on the ground? That's bird seed, and that's the bottom of the bird feeder. I saw a squirrel out here. In fact, I think I have a clip of it on my phone of just him chilling right next to it, munching on some of the bird seed. I thought he was playing nice because he was just standing next to it eating it, but it was probably just because he saw me. He decided it's too annoying to get it out of the little things. I'm going to break off the bottom. It'll all be on the ground, and then I just have like a big pile of it. That's going to be way easier. Can't blame the squirrel, but he was successful. So the problem is, at the place where I got the bird seed, you have bird seed that's designed to have squirrels not eat it. But they do it in such a mean way that I'm not going to buy that. They do it by making the seed really spicy and mixing in all these like cayenne or something flakes, because birds can eat spicy things and don't have the same receptors. And so birds will eat it all and be completely fine, not get spiced out. And the squirrels, will get like flamed out of their mouth. The picture on these, there's like multiple types of bird seed that their advertisement on the package is a squirrel breathing a fireball in pain. And I'm like, what? I'm not going to do that to the poor squirrels. I need a way to squirrel proof the bird feeder without force feeding squirrels cayenne. That's cruel. So the squirrels have helped me out too. I'm going to let them have this one. I'm not mad at the squirrels. They gave me so many cool cameos in grade -1. We might not have this plaque yet if it wasn't for the squirrels. Okay, at this point we probably would. But we would have gotten it a little later if it wasn't for the squirrels. And I'm going to let them have this one, but I do need to figure out how to bird-proof that, how to squirrel-proof, but not bird-proof that feeder. Oh, someone's wondering about the little worm thing that was found, which was salamanders. So they're called slender salamanders. So Carlo, my main camera guy, took them to this place that's a vivarium, which is a place that specializes in different types of animal of that sort. Actually, let me look. What is exactly a vivarium? It's an area for raising plants and animals for research. Okay. So the vivarium, they took it to a place like that, and They said that it's kind of hard to keep, but told him a good place to release it. So he released it into a cool park, into a better habitat than here. So he was considering keeping them, but it turns out it's kind of hard to keep them happy in a tank. They would be happier outside unless you are really careful and know what you're doing with them. And so Carlo ended up releasing them into a place they'll like living. But check out the finale for those who didn't see it. We found salamanders in the combo classroom. I couldn't believe it. After all the floods, there were salamanders. All right. And yeah, wondering about pendulums. We will cover pendulums at some points for sure. Someone's mentioning the YouTube. Oh yeah, Mark Rober. He's cool. I like him. And yeah, he does squirrel stuff. I want to do something nice for the squirrels. What I want to do is have the squirrels give us more cameos. So I'm going to leave out nuts. We're going to find a way for the squirrels to come. And at some point, we're going to have a squirrel eat out of my hand. So we'll make it happen. We'll feed a squirrel. For now, I just want a squirrel chilling on the desk while I'm teaching. Wouldn't that be so sick if I put out like a nut? We got a squirrel just chilling there. Maybe I can attach some nuts to something so it has to like stay there and spend some time chipping them off. And a vivarium. Someone's wondering if it's an aquarium with no water. That's a terraria. Oh, no, wait. So, yeah, a terrarium is an aquarium without water. There's even one called a paludarium, which is a mix. I actually used to be into making little terrariums. I'm going to do an episode about that someday, or at least some bonus videos, because it was sort of just like a meditative hobby I had, taking pieces of moss and you mix them with certain things in a little jar. Like, for example, you put this stuff called activated charcoal, and then you put some soil, and then you put a little bit of this and that. And then you put some moss you found somewhere. And it grows all these cool little fronds. And you put a little water and you seal the jar. And if you have a sealed terrarium, it like makes the water into these cool little crystals on the plants sometimes. And it's, if you do it right, it can be a self-sustaining ecosystem for a while. And so we're going to do some terrariums at some point. And those would be cool in the classroom because we could like watch them evolve, you know? And someone's wondering about a video about optimization. I'm not sure if that's in the near future, maybe in the further future. But yeah, to anyone who wants to reach out, remember to hit the contact link. I think for some reason you don't see it on a phone because I have it under the thing where like robot spammers don't get it, where you click for business inquiries, click here. And so then it shows it to you. It's one of those like I'm not a robot things. But I think that's good because I don't get much spam at that email. So I think that's why. But I don't think you can see that link on the phone. So just know if anyone ever is trying to contact me at email to help out somehow or whatever, you got to be on the computer, I think, to get the contact link. But also for the combo lords who are here, it is combouniversity@gmail.com with no punctuation, apart from the at and the dot. I always feel like if I just say with no punctuation to mean like no combo.university or anything, then someone could theoretically misinterpret it as combo university gmail.com. You know, no punctuation. So, as you can see, it's getting dark pretty quickly. We're going to be out here until the darkness strikes, which is going to literally be in the next 10 minutes or so. And I like all the animal appreciators as well. We'll definitely be appreciating the animals in some random episodes and videos and stuff, because although this has gone down the rabbit hole of becoming quite a math channel, I had to make sure that all along nature was there for part of the ride as well. Nature includes plants and animals. And so nature, starting with the combo classroom, and now that I've gone through those surgeries I had to get last year, going on to the next grade, and And for anyone who doesn't know about the surgeries I'm talking about, you better watch that finale documentary I dropped. And the surgeries, now that I'm through those, we can see more types of nature and go more random places. But I always wanted to make sure nature was part of it too, because one of the new class rules I made in the finale is appreciate numbers and appreciate nature. I put those together on purpose because I think that sometimes people can have an appreciation overly for one or the other. Some nature lovers of the world don't think about numbers enough. Some numbers lovers of the world don't appreciate nature enough. So that one means appreciate each without losing your appreciation for the other. And someone says if I open a white screen on the laptop, you can see me. I'm not sure what you mean. Am I using YouTube black settings? You're asking? I'm on the stream page. I'm on the page where I see the chat and see the streams. So let's see. Someone's saying Richard Feynman. He is great. Yeah, Richard Feynman is brilliant at, they say, getting the ideas across. That's a really important trait. And I remember coming across a quote from him recently that stuck with me about that. But I shouldn't quote it here. I'll probably butcher it. I need to remember it more. But he's certainly someone who understands some of my combo methods, and he understands beyond that too, but would appreciate some of the combo methods and similar philosophies of how describing simple things can sort of be the hard end goal. Like there are these massive things that you can describe the equation of, but although it's good to describe the equation, describing something in a simple way can sometimes be the hardest and like the end goal. Sometimes my episodes, it's like I say something that I want people to understand about numbers, and then it's like we'll go through all these equations just to come back to understanding that simple thing about prime numbers or whatever that hopefully we now have more of a gut feeling for. Oh, someone's saying I can open a white thing and it won't be too dark for you. I'm sorry, folks, we are getting dark on purpose. Ha 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 ha. No, I wanted to end my stream when it got dark for the fun of it, and I was going to end it already, so I thought we're going to have the darkness come down with me. So, no light for now. Sorry, folks. But what we are going to have in the future is, if I ever have a special stream that goes super late on one of these Monday streams, which will be every Monday at 6 p.m. They might not always go 2 hours like this, but sometimes they will. If they ever go for more than 2 hours, apart from today, which I don't have this ready for, we may get some sort of fire going, like a little campfire. Now, there's also glowing things. So, although I don't want to worry about illuminating my face that way, I have something cool. So actually, hang on. This thing, despite being all the way in a box, this was layers deep, got enough sun to charge these little solar coils enough during the day, and now it's dark enough that its receptor is saying, hey, I'm not getting any more energy, I'm not getting enough to charge, where's my solar power? So then it tells itself, all right, time to use all that charge I collected. So now we got this. And yeah, sunsets. I have not quite done a video about sunsets yet. They are nice, but we'll see if you guys want to see a nice sunset, we got to go down by where the water side. There's I live not too far from the coast here on California, and The type of area it's often called is the marina. So if you hear me refer to the marina, it's sort of this big mass of all these parks and areas that are on different parts of the coast around here. And there's beautiful sunsets. And if we ever do a sunset video, it's not going to be in the combo classroom. It's going to be out there at the what I call the marina. But remember when I say the marina, it's a huge mess of parks, and it's like there's many different parts of and types of the marina we may visit. Someone says, someday they hope I have 10 kids. I don't know about that. I like having a lot of viewers. Someday I will probably want to have, maybe like 2 kids or 1 to 3 kids. I'm not going for 10 kids. I'm down for 0 to 3 kids, probably 1 to 3 kids. But first I must find love. That'll be a combo saga. But for now, we are going to... Oh, someone's asking if indexes or indices or whatever should be 1-based or 0-based. I think that depends on the context. It's sort of vague. Could have a lot of context for that. But I do like when that at least reminds me of how, like, if you're asking about the square numbers, is 0 a square number? Well, 0 is considered a square number, but it's considered the 0th square number. So if you want to get rid of it, you're like, here's the list of square numbers from 1 upward, from the first square number upward. And if you want to include it, you're like, here's the list of square numbers from the 0th square number upward. The same thing with triangular numbers. 0 is also the 0th triangular number. And what, did that just already lose all of its charge? It makes sense. It was in like a little box. It had like not good access to solar power. So maybe indices should assume you're going to start from the 1 but have an optional 0. I don't know. In any case, it is getting to the darkness time where you cannot see me anymore, which is a good time to wrap up our stream. I will be filming again tomorrow, so some sort of either short or bonus video will be coming on this channel. And the main combo class channel will have its next episode a little later because the finale needs some time to sink in. And the intro, the official Welcome to Grade -2 episode, will be slightly more than a week from now. But in the meantime, there'll be a lot of cool stuff on this channel. So we're sort of in between grades, like I said. However, I'll still whip up some fun math things, some fun plants and animals, and all of the stuff you love. So, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for joining me on this crazy occasion. I'm going to put this in my room. I'm probably going to cry about this in a minute, because this is the only piece of metal I could get in the mail, practically, that would mean this much to me. But I said it all earlier in the stream, but I've been watching YouTube my whole life, and that is really crazy and cool that this channel got this thing right now. Even though it's just a piece of metal, and once we get one for the other channel, or get a million ones someday, then we'll leave this out in the combo classroom and let it shatter. If I ever get a second one, then this one we'll see what happens if it survives out here. For now, I'll probably keep it in the room. So, love you all. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back for some random bonus videos throughout this week, and next Monday we'll have the same schedule of 6 p.m. to 7 or 8 p.m. doing a Modular Monday, which that time will actually probably be called Modular Monday. And someone's mentioning a short about the infinity of numbers between 0 and 1 could possibly be good. And I have noticed that anything about infinities does really good. So I have thought about things like that. One of the next ones, infinity related, I want to go into is, this I thought would be a good idea for a short, is comparing, is there any difference between how 1 divided by 0 doesn't work and how 0 divided by 0 doesn't work? Because it turns out they actually kind of don't work in different ways. All right, bye everyone. Love you all so much, and I will be back next time.